This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
Okay, good Erev Shabbos, everyone. Shalom Aleichem. Bruchim Abam. Thanks, everyone, for joining. Okay, we have three incredible shiurim today. First, we're going to start with 5 electrifying ideas on the Parsha. Let's begin in the Divrei Torah. That again, if anybody wants to subscribe to, please go to our site and rabbidg.com. You just hit subscribe, and that's all you need to do. You get it automatically. This week's Parsha is Parshas Vayeitzey, and here we have it. A very interesting idea from the Nachlas David. Nachlas David is from the Talmidei Hagra, and he has a sefer, Drasha is based David. And he points out that Chazal say, Vayikatz Yaakov Mishnasa, Yaakov woke up from his sleep. The Medrash Rabbah brings the opinion of Rabbi Yochanan that Vayikatz Yaakov Mishnasa, Mi Mishnasa. He woke up from his learning. So, it seems like a play on words, but what is the basis to darshan Mishnasa, Mi Mishnasa from his learning? So, Nachas David says as follows. Firstly, obviously he woke up from his sleep. What else do you wake up from? It could have just said Vayikatz Yaakov, like it says by Paroi, Vayikatz Paroi. The word Mishnasa is extra. So that signals we should darshan Mi Mishnasa. Furthermore, the result of this dream is V'hinei Hashem nitzavaha alav, the Rebbeinu Shem standing on top of the ladder. And the Gemara says in Tamid, Tana Reb Chia, Kala oisek b'Torah b'layla Shechina kenegda. Anyone who learns Torah at night, the Shechina is opposite him. So if the Shechina is present, that implies that Yaakov Avinu was not just sleeping, but in fact he was learning. Now we have the pasuk Vayach Aloim v'hinei sulam mutzav arza. And behold, a ladder was stationed on the ground. V'roshei magia hashamayma. The Shlach HaKadosh writes that this ladder is a metaphor to how we should conduct ourselves in this world. The reality of our existence is such that we need to have two feet perched on the ground. We have to be grounded with our feet on the ground. However, v'roshai, our minds, our thoughts, our dreams, our aspirations should always be directed l'shem shamayim. So this sulam mutzav arza v'roshai magia hashamayma is not just a dream, but more than that, it's a metaphor to how we need to conduct ourselves in this world. Let's take a look at the Ben La'ashri. Parshas Vayeitzey. And here we go. Again, if anybody wants to subscribe to our Divrei Torah. By the way, we have a very interesting trip coming up in December at the very end of the year. This is not for the faint-hearted. This is a very unique opportunity. We have a special arrangement with the ambassador, and that is for the yard site of the Smichas Chachamim, Rav Naftali Katz. We will have access to the ancient Batei Kvaros in Turkey, in Izmir and Istanbul. So if anybody wants to join us, we have a very high-level security, and actually a very elite trip. If anybody wants to join us, please contact us. We're going to put the information on the site. Okay, now, let us see the Ben La'ashri. We're going to, this is a very interesting idea. You know, Yaakov Avinu was Masakin Tfilas Arvis. Did anybody ever think for a moment, okay, Yaakov Avinu was Masakin Mariv. Why now? This was after Yaakov Avinu learned for 14 years. He was, 77 years old? So, why was he Masakin Mariv today? Why didn't he ever do it before? What took him so long? Why Dafka now? On that fateful night, on the Har HaBayis, was he Masakin Mariv? So you say, well, this was his one chance to pray on the Har HaBayis. But it might be more than that, because we know that Vayivka b'makoim vayolen sham kiva shemesh. Yaakov Avinu slept there because the sun set, which means it was a premature sunset. So as Yaakov Avinu was probably preparing himself to daven mincha, All of a sudden, bam, the sun set, and Yaakov Avinu, of course, followed the Mishnah Brura, that you don't daven Marav after the Mincha, after the Shkia, right? The Mishnah Brura says it's better to daven Mincha b'yechidus before the Shkia than to daven after. But even besides that, it seems like not only did the Shkia come, but even the Tzeis HaKochavim came. So then, l'chol hadeos, he can't daven Mincha. You know why Yaakov Avinu was Masakei Marav? Says the Tzaddik Ranana, because he missed Mincha. And what's the halach if a person misses a tefillah? So you daven the next tefillah twice. So what did Yaakov Avinu have to do? He needed to daven 2 shachasim. But Yaakov Avinu literally could not wait the entire night to be able to be daven tefillas tashlumin. So this is why Yaakov Avinu daven Marav. Everybody wants to know, why if he was Masakei in Marav, why now? The answer is this was the only time in Yaakov Avinu's life that he missed tefillas mincha. Why did he miss tefillas mincha? It was an oinus. It was shaka chama shaloi be'oinasa. So that's a very interesting idea. Next idea. It says that Yaakov Avinu went to learn in the yeshiva Shem Be'ever for 14 years. Rashi says he slept in that place, but in the Beis Ever he didn't sleep at night. Why did he need to go to the Beis Ever? That's the yeshiva he learned in his entire life. Of course he, on the pasuk, that Yaakov Avinu Ishtam Yoshev Oyhalim, which Oyhel was Yaakov stationed at? Oyel of Shem and the Oyel of Ever. So if Yaakov Avinu was in the Oyel of Ever his whole life, why did he need another 14 years? So the Ben Loashri quotes the Oistravtzer, who says really an amazing thing. He says there's a difference between the Yoshev Oyhalim of Yaakov Avinu, which is Oyel of Shem and Oyel of Ever, and then when he went to the Beis Ever. Because you ever wonder, it says that the 14 years he was in the Beis Ever, he didn't sleep at night. Well, he also learned in that yeshiva in his youth. In his youth, he did sleep at night. Dafka, the 14 years later on, he didn't sleep at night. So the Ben Loashri says like this: like all good yeshivas, the yeshiva Shem Ever had many branches. All yeshivas had branches. In Europe, the biggest network of yeshivas that were basically all destroyed in the Holocaust were the Navardik. Navardik had, I believe, hundreds of yeshivas throughout Europe. And so too, Yeshiva Shem Ever. They had a branch in Israel, in Eretz Yisrael, near where Yaakov Avinu lived, and that's where he learned in his youth. That was the Oyhel of Ever. But that wasn't the bias of Ever. Ever lived Me'ever Hanar in Chutz La'aretz. So in Yaakov Avinu's youth, he learned in the Oyel of Ever. Now, if you're learning in a branch of a yeshiva, the learning is not as good as in the mothership. So Yaakov Avinu Taka went to sleep at night. But then when he realized that he needed to go, and he needed to go to the house of Laban, Yaakov Avinu would not settle for the branch of the Oyhel of Ever, so he went to the bias of Ever. That's Meduyuk in Rashi. Rashi says, Kan shachav belayla, avol yud dalet shana, sheshimesh beveis Ever, the house of Ever, not the Oyhel of Ever, the house of Ever, loy shachav belayla. So that's an interesting chidush, that there's a difference between the Beis Ever and the Oyhel of Ever. Here's also another interesting idea. The Mefarshim ask, it says, V'chol asher titen li aser a'asrenu lach. I will give meiser to you. Why does the word lach appear? Aser a'asrenu lach. I will give meiser to you. Obviously, just say a'aser a'asrenu, I will give meiser. What's lach? Why the double lashon of lach? And the Ben Loashri says, leka midi deloy remizi ba'iraisa. There's nothing that's not alluded to in the Torah. We know the Gemara says in Yevamis, we're almost there on Daf Pevav and Beis, that Ezra penalized the Levium not to give maser to Levium, only to give maser to the Kohanim. Why? Because when Ezra called, everyone should return to rebuild Yerushalayim, the Levium didn't come. The only Levium that came were the old Levium that had bit off their thumbs. No young Levium came. So Ezra knas that from now on, Meiser would only be given to the Kohanim and not the Levium. Now we know there's a concept that God is a Kohen. Shenemar v'yikchu li teruma. So how is Ezra just allowed to take Meiser away from the Levium and give it to the Kohanim? I mean, he's being oiker davar shekasa b'Torah. Where is there a remez in the Torah that the Meiser will one day be given to the Kohanim? So the Ben Lashri says it's in this pasuk. V'chal asher titen li aser asrenu lach. We'll give Meiser to you, God. You, God, are a Kohen. We're going to take it away from the Levium. Okay, those are our 5 offerings, but I have to tell you one 6th one because this is outrageous. This one is great. You know, all the Mefarshim struggle. Yaakov kissed Rachel. How could he do such a thing? Rachel was a young lady. Yaakov Vinu, the tzaddik, he kissed her. Says the Ben Lashri, how do you think he kissed her? He kissed her like a Sephardi, not like an Ashkenazi. When Ashkenazim, says the Ben Lashri, when the Torah comes by, the Ashkenazim, they put their mouth on the mantle and they expectorate all their phlegm and mucus all over the mantle, the Ben Lashri says, transferring all kinds of harmful, contagious diseases to the next person. That's why, by the way, Rabbi Yashiv would not kiss directly, because he held it was unhygienic. You could get a little close, you could make believe, but to put your mouth on it, no, you shouldn't kiss that way. You should kiss like the Sfardim kiss by Vayeitzey HaTorah. They point and they kiss their finger. That's how Yaakov kissed Rachel, says the Ben Lashri. He kissed like a Sfardi by Vayeitzey HaTorah, not Chas v'Shalom like the Ashkenazim. I just thought you might be interested in that one. Okay, anyway, that's 5, actually 6 on the Parsha. Now we have a special shiur today. We're going to do And Behold Part 2. Okay? Here we go.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.